Hi everybody, my name's John Ewing. I'm one of the Syscom consultants and specialise in the field of project-based manufacturing, and welcome to the second in my series of talks on that very subject. We tend to use a little Microsoft middleware called Excel, and it's accessed through AX. Now, unlike the Excel you know, it has a few more functions and forms a very easy method of extracting and importing data from CAD systems, capturing BOM and route instructions within just a few steps. Now, for convenience, as I mentioned, I've extracted a simple BOM from, I think it was from a CATIA system, and imported the CSV file into Dynamics Excel that I'm now going to take into AX after, of course, we've run this logic test. And then using the BOM import routines, there are a series of default values. And just to point out, anywhere you see one of these little drop-down symbol like this, there is in fact a table sitting behind it with options for you to select. So I'm just going to change a few of them just for the sake of it. Okay, and then let's load the file. Okay. So what you're looking at now, AX has actually identified that out of the 5 items imported, 3 of them it recognised straight away. Perhaps you've used them on a previous project. But as you can see, it's actually raised a flag warning that there are a number of that it's never been seen before. So it's actually going to automatically create these parts for me. So by clicking refresh, and I go back to lines, I can see what it's going to bring in. And then obviously you click update. Now, typical problems that we encounter at this stage is often inconsistencies in the part number structures. You may have thought about this yourself. For instance, common things are brackets have been added into the part number, or the part number is often hidden within the description, but we do like a challenge. So looking at now what we've created, I'm going to go into the product information screen to take a look at these released products. Now, just as an aside, because AX is completely role-centric, you can do many things from within the one screen. For instance, you can take a look at what you need to buy, you can take a look at what you need to sell, take a look at stock management, and of course, how it should be engineered. So from within the one screen, there are many things you can do without in fact having to come out and find information elsewhere. It is all available there. You don't need to write things down to go there and back in. Now, of course, if you want, you can create a works order from here. But first of all, I'm going to take you into the BOM lines because I want to do that at a later stage. And of course, the BOM design, just to see what AX has pulled in. As part of the logic test, if AX cannot see any routing information, it will automatically create for you a simple routing that of course you can then amend to suit. Now if I take a quick look at this, it now flags up for me a warning to tell me that there are no resources selected. So that's where I have to go next. To take a look at what resource requirements we need and what's available to me and convenience, I'm going to keep things simple. There are obviously several resources that you can select. For instance, you could pick a resource group, a capability, a particular skill that's needed for a job. You can also look at what certification is required. There are a whole raft of resource types that you can choose from, such that you can then select the most appropriate resource. Now, AX doesn't differentiate between a person, a machine, or a group. It just says it is a resource at this stage. But for convenience, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep things simple and I'm assign the whole thing to Graham, except that is for the curing process. In this instance, what we've said is that the curing process is an outsourced service, and that is something that I will cover later. In order for me to see what movements and commitments Graham has, so that I can see what, because obviously we don't know at this stage what commitments other people have as they progress through the projects. So what I need to do is to look at, is that particular resource available to me to do what I want? So as I've assigned everything over to Graham, I now need to see whether he can in fact do that job. So I'm just going to take a quick look at his Gantt. Now, of course, you can look at the Gantt can be associated or assigned to resource groups, a person, a machine, or literally any combination you wish. So you can have anything grouped down here. Now, as I can see, I've got Graham assigned on a number of different projects across the weeks and months to come. Now, it's not always that easy to see what the next available slot will be, but AX will in fact automatically plan the next available slot. That is assuming that you have got finite capacity set, which of course it does. Okay, I'm happy with that. So let's go back to the project then, where I'm going to create the works order. So as you can see, it's automatically given it a unique number. You can in fact use manually created numbers, and the format is completely user defined. So in order to create the works order, I'm going to the Manage tab. And there are a number of things that you could have done from the ribbon bar I showed you earlier, but obviously I'm doing things long-handed. So I'm now going to select the item tasks and create a new works order. It then presents me with a form that I now need to complete, and it's basically asking me to populate information that is relating to this project. In other words, this is all the information that will be used further down the route. I obviously need to select a site of where it's going to be made or completed, which could in fact be spread across many sites. Sometimes you have projects that are not just within the one site but across many. And it will also ask me to insert the active versions of BOM and route instructions so that you are always working to the latest information. But of course, you can in fact work to previous versions or those that have been defined by another. But then if you do and you make that choice to actually manufacture based on a former bill of materials, then that will be recorded in the audit trail. So then I create. So now I want to schedule the works order. There are many different ways to create schedule the works order. I'm just going to pick one and then take another look at the Gantt to see it has added the new elements of what I need Graham to do into the schedule. And if I mouse over any part of that particular process, I can see the details. But I can also right click and see the details if I want and pull up everything I need to do that is related to that particular project. Okay, if I take a quick look at the jobs, you can see it's all been scheduled. The start times, it's given it end times, it's assigned a resource, which is basically, it's all very clever. But it's also included all of the materials that are going to be consumed as part of that operation. So the next step is to run MRP scheduling. And there are a number of ways in which you can do that. Now, taking all this into account, for every project there will be items that you buy and items that you make. So by creating a master, AX will automatically calculate what items are available from stock, such as nuts and bolts, and what items that you need to go out and buy. And then by running MRP, it will create the purchase orders and works orders needed for each and every stage of the project automatically. If you decide to change the date of when that particular project is scheduled, AX will also alert you to make a replan and suggest what you need to do with the purchase orders. It will automatically move works orders if they've not yet been released to match your new requirement. And then AX will help you maintain that control. So the next step is actually start the job. Job registration. Okay, so I've now started that particular job. So I now need to go in and give it to someone to do, a welder, an electrician, or someone, whatever that person is that you've defined you needed that particular resource. Okay, so now going into shop floor data capture, I'm going to assign this to a particular resource so that they can then start booking work or hours to that job. What you'll see is I'm going to give it to, unfortunately, Graham again. Okay, so now Graham logs on and he's presented with his work queue. Now this is all of the details that Graham has got planned for the next day, week, hour, month, all in the next sequence that is priority to what work activity that you've got. And at that stage we can see all of the project types, all of the different individual projects that he's working on, and what it is he's doing. And each one of those we can then simply open up and see what it is he's doing. And of course he's booking the time to it then. And that's where I'm going to leave things today. Thank you everybody for joining us on the second in our series of talks on the subject of project-based manufacturing. In the third and final talk, my plan is to wrap things up by looking at third-party processing, third-party subcontracting, expenses and time management, activity status alerts, the all-important where the project is up to, so project status reporting, and looking at how it's all financially controlled, taking into account the important subject of how you control rework. Now, to join us on that session, by all means follow the link here on the screen, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you.